Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. This is a special session of the Kindle Sale interview series, and actually called Kindle Flash Sale. And we have doorbells in the background. Always, right? Anyway, I'm one of 57 authors who are participating in this Kindle Flash Sale. And I would say most of us, if not all of us, are entrepreneurs. And I'm Kathy Sparrow. I'm the literary midwife. I help people write books, but in this case, I collaborated with Beau Parfait and Greg Boyson on our book, I should say, The Precipice of Life, Leadership and Personal Growth Insights from Mountaineer's Edge. And Beau climbed 7 summits in the world and learned a lot of leadership lessons along the way. So we actually crafted the book as if we were going on a mountaineering expedition. It was quite fun. And I'm really excited to be able to share it in this Kindle Flash Sale. So I am joined here today with Laura Ballerini and Bill Soroka. I've known Laura for several years. We worked on her book together. And Bill, we just met like moments ago. So I'm going to start with Laura. And Laura, tell us a little bit about your book and who your ideal reader is.
Okay, well, I'm going to hold up my book because I've seen other authors do that. So I will do that. I think it's probably reversed, isn't it? Can you read it?
No, I can read it. Yeah.
Okay, so my book is The Green Velvet Chair. Inspiration comes from the most unusual places. I'm a graphic designer, been in the industry for many years. So I wrote essays about design and everyday life. And actually, I worked with you, Kathy, to build a persona about who the book might be for. And really, originally, it was for women, middle-aged women, perhaps mothers, that I would sit around the kitchen table with a cup of coffee or a glass of Prosecco and just talk to, tell these stories to. But it actually translated into a lot of different people liking the book. There's stories about high school and personal brand. Everyone has a high school story. So there's stories that people can resonate with, not just that middle-aged working mom who obviously I resonate with, but men, women, and even younger men, surprisingly, really resonated with the stories in the book. So it started off as working moms, and it transpired into quite a wide audience.
That's awesome. And the book and the essays are just really memorable. I think of them as you're speaking about it. I'm smiling because I'm remembering different ones. The cat, the Halloween story, all of them. So thank you. Bill, tell us a little bit about your book and your audience.
Yeah, sure. My name is Bill Soroka. So I own a couple different business ventures. And a couple years ago, I was suffering extreme burnout and going through a very rough patch. And I had a business coach say, well, take out your nectar list and remember the good things that you have accomplished and the joy and the reason that you're working so hard. And I was like, well, what the heck is a nectar list? I'd never heard of this before. So of course I went down a rabbit hole, and she just explained that it's just a compilation of some of your sweetest memories of life. Mm-hmm. So I started writing those down. And when I got to like 100 of them, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But I got to tell the stories of these, because you can't just have a one-line sentence there. So I started writing little mini essays about those experiences. I recruited my co-author, Bobby Illing. We've done a couple of projects together. And we just published this list of short essays again about noticing the sweet, tender moments of life and then keeping them somewhere where when you have those days, when you're just wondering, what am I doing? Or you don't want to get out of bed, take that out and remind yourself of why we are working so hard. Because we tend to, especially high performers like me, we just tend to bulldoze over them sometimes. So it has completely changed my mindset. I feel so invigorated again in my business. It's just changed everything for me. So I'm so excited to share it with anybody who just appreciates writing, reading about glimpses into life, or if you're on the verge of burnout, it might be a good exercise to set this up. So we gave you a framework to make it really easy to do it. And then we shared our stories too.
Ah, lovely. Yeah, I just wrote it down. I'm going to buy it as soon as we get off here because those stories are special and they're necessary, especially
Well,
when we do have low moments.
absolutely. You know, I'm struck. I continue to be struck about how aligned so many of these authors are in the messaging, with Laura's book of essays about noticing design in everyday life, your book with Bo about the noticing the journey of a mountain precipice, and all the moments that brings, the thought, the challenge, everything does. All these authors that are part of this Kindle Flash Sale right now have so many aligned messages. I love synchronicity like this.
It really is wonderful. Since we're on that subject, why did you choose to be a part of this? And is this your first time?
Yeah, so I decided to be a part of the Kindle Flash Sale. I think this is my second or third, maybe my fourth time. I can't remember. I love what Robbie's doing when he sets these things up, because it exposes my books to an audience that I don't have access to, right? I've got notary entrepreneurs on my email list, so that's a very niche audience. So when I partner with other authors like you to spread the word, I get to share this message with a lot more people, and I get to help other authors expose their material to my audience too, because there's so much crossover, and I love doing that. I love working with authors, as I know you do too.
Yes. Laura, this is your second time at this, right? Or is it
It's
your
actually
third?
my third. It's actually my
Ah,
third. And I've definitely seen a spike in my sales every time I'm part of these groups. And obviously at 99 cents a book, it's not the dollar value, it's the visibility that it gives. And to me, I have to be honest, it really highlights the importance of books and reading. You know, we're scrolling through social and seeing snippets of this and 30-second videos and little memes, but we're not really diving deep into information. I've read many of the books that are in this sale, and I've read from Leadership on the Mountaintop, your book, Kathy, to football, to AI. So my brain is exploding with information, which is a good thing, right? So it not only is hopefully highlighting my book, but highlighting the work and the importance of writing. And more importantly, reading the books.
right, right. And what comes to mind right now is the word collaboration. And Laura, I'm going to just plant a little seed here about your 5-slide approach to being able to connect with our audience. And when you and I worked together a month or so ago, whenever it was, 3 words came to my mind: creative, collaborative, connector. And I think that's what this Kindle Flash does. It allows those of us who are creatives to connect and collaborate with other authors. And it's not a competition. It's like we're helping raise one another up in this process. And I've gotten to meet a lot of people I probably wouldn't met, like you said, Bill, because Robbie has been able to bring this incredible group of people together. And it seems like each time I'm a part of it, and I can't remember, this is my second or third time, I do meet different people.
Yeah.
So, okay. So on to another question.
All right.
How did you measure success in this? And because you've done this before, how are you measuring success, and has that changed over the course of doing a couple of these campaigns?
Laura,
Bill?
was that you? Oh, for me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. I forgot to choose somebody.
The pressure. So when I first, are you saying for the campaign or for the book in general, for publishing?
I guess let's do the book in general. What is success to you?
I think if I went back to my first book, Sign and Thrive, I published that in 2019. It took me 3 years to write it. My expectations of that was, in my head, I was all about, I have to sell a lot of these so they get into hands, and then maybe that will open doors and be a lead magnet for my course, which of course all of that it ended up being, but it turned out to be so much more than that. I think there's intrinsic and extrinsic rewards that come from these. And I was heavily focused on the extrinsic side when I first did this, right? Get sales, make money, get reviews, which is extremely important. All of those things, notoriety, being able to walk in and say I'm a published author. But what I have learned in the process now is that the intrinsic value of writing these, even if I sold one book, is still worth it to me to go through the anguish of writing and publishing. I love it so much, but it's not easy. I can see why people don't do this as much, right? But it is so worth it to me how I feel when a book comes alive off the paper. Like there's this moment as you're writing it, it's just like, just starts to click in a different way. And publishing that out in the world is why I do this now.
That's beautiful. Laura?
For me, it's sure getting the book out was important to me. I'm a quiet introvert. I don't, I've learned to talk. I've learned to tell stories, which has been really, really important for me. But as a secondary benefit to how I'm measuring success is, as you mentioned, I'm now doing workshops. I'm doing workshops about design, about shifting perspective. My book is stories. They're about art and design, but quite frankly, I believe everyone is creative. I believe obviously everyone on this call is creative, and I believe all these authors are creative. My husband's a car guy. He's creative when he's working on an engine. You're a problem solver. That's creativity. So I have kind of switched that mindset. And I'm gaining traction in that arena where, you're a perspective shifter. So now I'm being invited to talk about being a perspective shifter. It's not about graphic design. It's about art and design in everything we do, everything we say, how we dress, how we speak, all the beautiful artwork on Bill's back wall. They're all beautifully balanced on the wall. That's art and design in everyday life that we might not realize. So I'm hoping that I'm shifting a perspective. I'm gaining traction in, like I say, doing workshops and speaking engagements. So it's been more than a book. It's really escalated to something that I didn't see coming, but it's here.
That's awesome. I think that writing is a discovery process, and there's no accident that I'm a literary midwife, right? Because there is a birthing process that goes along with it, and right at the end, there always seems to be the most difficult, right? But I think that's partly impatience too. But yeah, I think for me, I just love the process of writing that. And if I'm in that place, that's my happy place, being able to sit with either something I'm creating personally or collaborating with other authors. It's beautiful. And for me, success is like seeing that book, holding the book for the first time in your hand. And it's like a newborn. You're like, oh my goodness, look what I've created, right? Or I've helped create. So, yeah.
Can I ask a question about that, Kathy?
Yeah.
You're using an analogy that I have no right to take on, but I have no other way of describing it, because it was a birthing process for me, especially for my first book. But I experienced, even though that book was a success from day one, it just took off and went crazy, right? But I experienced a little bit of, I call it creative grief. Because once I was done, it was gone. And for months afterwards, I didn't get on camera. I couldn't do anything. And I kept equating it to postpartum depression for that exact analogy. Have you ever experienced
that? Yes. And I guess in my plate, because I'm always working with words, there's not too much of a gap, but I wrote The Whispered Teachings of Grandmother Trout several years ago, and people were saying, "Where's the sequel? Where's the sequel?" And it wasn't there. I'm now going to bring out a second edition very soon in January, because I realized that it was a little premature birth, right? So I pushed it out, and I needed a little more time to think about the storyline. And when I realized I was actually reading it to write the screenplay, and it occurred to me that I had to set up for the sequel, and I didn't know what it was yet. Then suddenly it dropped in. So I've had these gaps where it's like, what's happening? Am I done? Is it, is there not going to be a sequel? Is it just, so I was that depression, but no, probably not. But it was a wondering. There was this void, like, whoa, am I done? What am I going to be writing about?
Yeah. Laura, did you experience that?
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of birthing and postpartum depression, I actually launched my first book about 3.5 years ago, and I was diagnosed with cancer. So I actually orphaned the book. So there's another birthing childhood kind of word. So I orphaned the book, and it was sad. It was like, oh, I put all this effort into it, and I'm not reaping the rewards. And it was sad. And Kathy was the one that said, you know what? It's a good book. Let's rebirth it. Let's do a second edition. And relaunch. So I relaunched, and it brought life back to a book that I thought had been orphaned. So thanks to Kathy and all the people behind you that are cheering you on, I found it to be very positive. So it's definitely a journey, and those journeys are different for all of us.
Yeah, and you added several really cool chapters, especially your love of creating Barbie dolls clothing. I just love that one.
Barbie is an important cultural icon for women, let me tell you.
Yes. Oh, lovely.
I know my DIOs really loved her.
Hey, right?
I know. I still have mine. They don't have a row, but they're a little ratty right now because my grandkids had played with them, but I can't get rid of them. Now it's like I got to keep them close. And my aunt used to knit Barbie doll clothes for her. I guess we really covered the whole idea about success, and we talked about the process of writing and that little bit of whether we're pushing out too fast or sometimes hanging on too long. I know that's another thing. So, what's next? Another book?
Oh, good question. Yeah, that's interesting because I'm in that space right now too, Kathy, and because I just released the Nectar List in August, and I usually go right on to the next project. I know exactly what I'm going to write next and go, but this time I don't know, and I'm trying to decide what that's going to look like. I've got 3 or 4 that are percolating, but as you said, when you got your second edition or the setup for the second one, it just dropped in on you. And I love that feeling when it just drops from the ether inside, and I keep waiting for that. I'm taking action, tinkering, jotting down notes and ideas, waiting to kind of crack open the atmosphere or whatever it takes to get it, but it hasn't come yet. So I'm kind of in that in-between stage. So I'm just focusing on journaling every day to see where that might lead. Yeah.
That relationship, building that relationship with your ideas and keeping that writing muscle fluid is so important.
So important.
So important. Laura, I know we've talked about the possibility.
Yes, for me, I was going to talk about my cancer journey and all the wonderful people I met along the way. And I have to say, I'm going to abandon that, I think, because I'm tired of talking about cancer, and cancer does not define me. And I want to move on. So I think I'm actually going to write a book on a perspective shifter. I worked with a marketing coach a while ago, and she said, Laura, you're a perspective shifter. You see things different than most people in the world. So I think I'm going to take that approach and I have to write positive stories that have lessons in them. There might be a sad element, but certainly I want to have the lesson in the story. Many of them relate to my work and how I bring clarity to hopefully my clients' messaging. But I want to talk about being a perspective shifter and how important it is, especially in today's crazy world, that things aren't always as they seem. We really have to see them from the right perspective, in the right way, with the right information. So I think I'm going to take that approach. It's a bit more interesting. And like I say, I want to leave my other journey behind me.
That chapter's done.
That chapter's done.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I like that. The perspective. You really helped me change my perspective. I see design. I mean, I can look at the way a vine will grow over a fence and go, wow, I never saw that before, and when I walk into a building, I'm really more aware of the architectural detail And it's like, so thank you for that. That and it all comes from working on your book. So
Can't wait to read it. I just bought it this morning. Yeah.
I think
Well,
both of your, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, yeah, I've bought so many books. I have to buy Bill's book now because I like the Nectar List. Love it.
I know. It's like I'm going over to Amazon shortly after this.
Yes.
So for all of you listening, I will drop the link into our into the feed here, and so you can go over and check out all of these wonderful books. Like I said, there's 57 of us that have joined together to share our works, and there's so much. And I love this time of year. It's kind of, even though I live in LA, it's chilly here for me. It's a beautiful time to sit by the fireplace and read. And both of your books are, I know Laura's is, and Bill, I have a feeling that yours is going to be one of those nice Sunday afternoon sitting under the blanket reads, and probably have a space on the coffee table too. So.
Fantastic. I think they're both perfect. So aligned. I love it.
Yeah. Well, thank you both. Check out the Kindle Flash Sale. Check Bill's book, The Nectar List, and Laura Ballerini's The Green Velvet Chair, and mine, The Precipice of Life, Leadership and Personal Growth Insights from a Mountaineer's Edge. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you for hosting, Kathy.
Thank you, Kathy.
Bye, Laura.
My pleasure.
See you.